Vag, vag, vag. What you gonna do when it's hot outside? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Vag. What you gonna do when the trains are down? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Vag.
All right. Well, it's happening.
We're doing it, guys. We're podcasting.
I did a 12-step, an AA meeting this morning, and while it was a meditation, and in the middle of my meditation, I was like, shit, I think the podcast starts at noon. I thought it was going to start at 1 for some reason.
Oh, I didn't know that. We could have done it later.
No, it's fine. But it was just one of those things where you're like, do you guys ever meditate? And then you're like, I'm not even close to getting to where I need to be. And instead you're just thinking about your errands.
As soon as like I'm supposed to meditate, I just start playing on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine getting into a place where I've like meditated past just that like errands thing. I haven't tried meditating in like 8 years. I'm impressed you're doing that.
Well, it's a meditation meeting. I just went with Joe, and a lot of the times
in person. Was it in person?
No, it was on Zoom.
Oh.
And a lot of times, even when I go to AA meetings, I always want to sleep.
Yeah. AA meetings always make everyone want to sleep or drink. You ever been in one? You're like, I could really use a drink right now.
Wait, Adrian, do you go? Do you go to AA meetings?
I have gone, yeah. I mean, I haven't done any Zoom meetings for AA though in a while. I guess I should. But
I haven't either. But I do go. I'm in the program, but I haven't. I was good about it, and then I haven't been going very much at all.
Yeah.
I haven't gone at all.
I was in this. Oh, sorry, Adrian. Go.
No, I just said that quarantine just makes you so lazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a full day of anything right now.
I can't believe how many. I mean, not that I like was doing like so. I just like anything that's more than one thing. I can't picture like squishing into stuff. Like I actually kind of like that. A little bit. Doing
one thing a day?
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I feel like even if it takes you 10 minutes, that's fine.
I got to sit and I got to plan it. I got to sit and think about it. I got to process. I'm checking the news so much. Like I think I'm an introvert. Like I do recharge from being alone. So I feel like very recharged.
Yeah.
And I want to keep it that way.
I just can't imagine like people having a full work day again, like working all day, trying to go to the gym, having kids, cooking. You're like, that sounds overwhelming. Imagine the first week back where everyone's at work.
Woof.
Yeah.
I don't even mean like comics work where we work like 15 minutes a day. I mean like a real 9 to 5. You have 3 kids.
Do you think they're going to have to do that though? You think they'll have to go back to the office like that?
I've heard places like Twitter and maybe I think Google are really thinking about not having people come into work as much or having an office if you can do most of it at home because I don't know, a lot of the times their rent is like those tech companies are in cities where the rent is high and then I don't know. That morning commute, if you've ever done it for work, is just why are we starting our day off like that?
Because everyone's trying to do it at the same time. I don't know why we don't have staggered hours.
Yeah, like block scheduling.
Totally. That'd be so much coordinating. But I agree. It would always give me so much panic to be with the whole flow of people at like 8 or 9 a.m. doing that and feeling like I was like, what are we doing? I feel like a clog in the machine when I was doing that.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And I was.
I think everyone did. I think we're really going to miss quarantine when we're out of it.
I was just saying that I feel like quarantine has made a lot of people realize that they were really unhappy beforehand.
Yes.
Well, most people don't like their life. I mean, most people don't have a career. They just have a job. So
do you know anyone who does? Like, do you know anyone who I know one person who I distinctly remember her being like, I love my life. And guess what? She died.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah. She got cancer and died.
That's crazy.
It's awful, but I distinctly remember her because she went to college and she was doing all this stuff and she was working at Aldo, the shoe store. And she was like, I know I could do other things, but I love my life. I just love working at Aldo. I love my boyfriend. She was like, I just figured out what I like. I love my life. But that's the person I remember.
How old was she? If you work at Aldo, you better be like 20.
Well, that was part of it. She was older, so she had graduated college, and then she was like, I know I should have another job, but I work here. And that's how the conversation came about, that she liked her. She was kind of justifying,
okay.
yeah, I work at Aldo, but I still really like my
But
life.
she loves it.
Yeah.
And then, so
Don't work at Aldo.
your life, it's gonna,
I can't recall a time when I was like, I really love my life right now.
What about when you look back?
Anytime I really love my life, I was on unemployment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now I'm loving it.
Same.
I love unemployment.
Yeah.
I think everyone does. We should only have to work 5 minutes a week.
Getting and knowing how much money you're going to get exactly every single week. I haven't had that in like 6 years.
Well, there's
very comforting.
not as much. Yeah, you don't have as much anxiety worrying about how much, especially as a performer or an artist. You don't know how much money you're going to make every month.
Right.
And then even if you have those things, people will still cancel gigs and be like, well, I'm not going to give you money. And you're like, well, that's
Or you get paid late, or you get paid. You're like, oh, I'm getting, and then taxes and paying, paying people out. I'll do the math wrong, or
yeah. And then when you get that big chunk of money every now and then, you're just paying stuff that like credit card debt that you've acquired while you weren't making any money.
Oh, if I know I'm getting like some money, I've already spent it by the time I get it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
100% of the time. I'm like, the second I get it, and I'll like, it's like when I hit the snooze, when I'll be like, oh, I need less and less time to get ready. I need less and less of that money for other stuff as I'm spending it before I get it.
Oh yeah.
But
let's introduce our guest. We always do this. We always have a
We're not the best podcast hosts.
We just go. We do it as it goes. But
we just let people guess. We're like, who is that?
Name the voice with the prop.
Guys, we have the very funny Emma Willman. I always want to say Williman.
It's close. You're in the ballpark. But that's it. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Great to see both your faces.
You too.
I want to say your roots look amazing. Did you just get done?
Your face looks flawless. We don't really put makeup on, Emma. What are you doing?
Well, wait. So there's a reason. The reason my hair. Thank you. My hair looks good. My girlfriend's a hairdresser.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh my God. We should. What are we doing?
I need a haircut.
We're in Louisiana. If we were in New York, then absolutely she could hook it up. But we're in she's from Louisiana, so we came here to quarantine. We drove from LA to Louisiana on like day 2 of quarantine. And I'd say 2 hours into the drive, I was like, I'm not emotionally stable enough to be in a relationship. And
Is that what you said?
Yeah, 2 hours into the drive. And she was like, what? And I was like, well, I didn't really want to go. That was the thing. I wanted to stay in LA. And the reason I want to say is because I just set up a room to podcast in. And I was like, I don't want to go. And I kept saying because of Corona. And she was like, I know the reason you want to stay in LA is because you finally set up that room for podcasting. And I was like,
I think it's hilarious 2 hours into a 40 hours
28
trip.
hours
to quarantine. And then I guess I fell asleep and woke back up and was like, sorry about that. But that's how I started it out with a bang. And she was just like, for fuck's sakes. But she's been doing my hair. And then I use the Zoom buffer app. It makes my skin look all smoothed out.
I don't even know how to do that.
Adrian, I'll help you. Although I have it on right now and it's not great because I'm in bad lighting.
I think you look awesome also.
Thanks, guys.
I love that I love 2 hours into a car ride. You're like, I'm not emotionally stable for this. What did you think was going to happen? You were going to turn back around?
It was like we had left a lot earlier than I was planning on mentally. So
Gotcha. Okay.
So we were in the car really early, and I was ruminating, because I was like, I thought we were gonna leave at this time, but we left at really early, and I didn't know why we had to leave so early when we were just driving for the, for future. So I was perturbed.
Yeah, I get that.
And then I have sensor control problems, so I guess I thought it, but I decided to say it. Because we were going back and forth a little bit because I was like, I don't know why we had to go this time. And she was like, you're ridiculous. I'm the one doing all the driving. Let me.
That's hilarious. You weren't even driving.
No, I wasn't.
You're like, I can't watch you drive for 28 hours. I'm out.
I wasn't driving because she doesn't like my driving because I have
the best.
It is the best.
Like you're driving.
I wouldn't have mind. I would have felt better helping out. I felt kind of like an asshole sitting for that long.
Well, at least you made it easy, though. You didn't like fight with her.
Yeah. At least I didn't pull any big surprises or anything.
You know what's so funny? The last time I saw you perform, you did a joke that made me laugh so hard. I don't even know if it's a regular joke of yours. You said that you had this manager that was coming out with an idea for like a super large orange.
No, that's something I've tried talking about so many times because I think it's really funny. I've never been able to write it into a joke. It's such a weird thing so I had this manager, it was my first manager, who was great, and I didn't realize it at the time. He's the first person I ever worked with. He was really good. I liked him a lot. Stu. And I had an idea that I tried to invent, and I told him that, and he was like, I had an idea I tried to invent too. It's called the morange. It's like a bigger orange. It's like more of the orange. Do you get it? It's like a more, and I was like, and then he kept being like, do you get it? It's like more, or I was like, I get it, Stu. Loud and clear. He's like, because sometimes you're eating an orange, you don't have to peel a whole other orange. This is why you get more of the, morange. And then I started thinking, okay, he believes in me and he believes in the morange. Like, I'm so fucked right now. So
That's so funny.
I tried writing about it. I probably only said it on stage like once or twice. So you must have.
I think Sarah might have been there too. Remember we did that show at like a clothing store in the village?
Yes.
I think it was
said that there.
Yeah. I think so.
I need to start listening to recordings because I need to like write I need to work on new stuff.
Don't bother. The world's going to end.
I think.
And sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Great. Wait, did your manager's last name begin with a G?
Yeah.
I think I had him as an agent.
Yeah, he's an agent now. He's not a manager. And I went back and I apologized to him years later. I was like, just so you know, I didn't appreciate you. And he was like, oh, I know. And then he said, thank you for apologizing. Because it was the first person I'd ever worked with. And then I was with him for like a year. And then I met Barry Katz. So I was like, Stu, I have to leave you. I met Barry Katz, who's a comedy manager. And to me, was so starstruck by Barry Katz. I thought he'd be like, wow, congrats. But he was like, so what's your point? And I was like, I have to work with him. He's amazing. And he was like, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. Like,
yeah. Well, Barry Katz, I think he used to make people's dreams come true. And then I think he started making people's nightmares come true. He doesn't really do that much anymore.
I really liked him. I think we talked like 2 times. I mean, we talked a couple times. We didn't really have any relationship. I was like more just like starstruck. I think he was like, oh, we could work together. And I was like, yeah. And then I fired Stu, and then don't think I talked to Barry. I maybe talked to him like once a couple months later and was like, ugh. So I apologized to Stu. You worked with him as an agent?
I worked with him as an agent, and then he's really nice, but honestly, like, I really felt like he was in a position that he couldn't do anything for me, and then I'm in a position like nobody's knocking on my door, so it just felt like a stalemate. So totally. I was like, instead of paying him money for gigs that I'm already getting on my own, I should just go by myself.
Totally. I've had that before with someone. It was a dip with someone else, but I was like, there's nothing. It's like, what if we each can't elevate the other?
It's just nothing's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't he get you that great gig in Florida though?
Yeah, called what is it? Broads off their meds.
Ooh.
And the guy wanted.
What's worse, the broads or the meds part? Ooh.
It's all so bad.
The guy that booked it was a black box theater kind of near Boca Raton, and it was me and Shaban Mason and then this other comic from Florida who he wanted me to headline because I had more credits, but knowing the crowd and knowing the other comics, like the girl, her name was Valerie Storm, and she does cruise ships, and I was like, I know I have more credits, but she's going to do way better for this audience than I will. And it was just me going after this woman that was just killing, and then an hour of silence for me. And then the guy wanted us. She just did really well. She's just like made for, I just am not good for old Jewish people. Like, it just wasn't my scene. And then he wanted us to mention somewhere in our act that we were off our meds. It wasn't
you
even
not-
worth it.
Didn't you not even do that? Or did
No.
you try it one show where you're like, hey guys, I'm off my meds? What a weird
I said
thing
yes.
for a show.
He probably was really proud of himself for coming up with that. Like he was like so pumped about it. So he's like, you need to say it. You got to keep the branding. Like he probably thought like this is going to be big. Like this is his orange or whatever. So he's like, you're off the meds. Like get it in there. Like thinking people would like grab onto that.
I know. He told me about 5 minutes before the show, we were like, oh, well, that should have been like told to us before we booked the gig.
Right.
And then because he told it to me, you could tell me something so important, but 5 minutes before the show, it's going to completely go out. And so I just completely forgot. But Adrian and I have talked about it, that I should have just ended every punchline with, oh, I'm off my meds.
It'd have been fun to just have a nervous breakdown on the stage. Like, this is what happens when you go off your meds.
Right. I need my meds. I'm schizophrenic. My meds are very complicated.
What a crazy thing for him to have found 3 people all off their meds. Like, if you're sitting in the audience, don't you think that? Like, where they find all these people?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
People who look frustrated at the pharmacy and they're like, what's wrong? It's like, I'm off, my insurance fell through. I'm off my meds. And he's like, I got a job for you. And you're like,
Get on stage.
You get on stage.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's one of those gigs where you're like, this is the kind of shit that I feel like guys don't have to deal with.
You think?
I don't think guys get told that they have to be told to mention that they're off their meds. They're not on dumb shows called, guys off their meds. Maybe like, it's a comedy tour, but they only do it where they're like-minded. It's not where they have to be gimmicky like that.
I think any guy would have been like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do like those, like the theme nights though, where maybe they'd have guys on it, but it'd be like, I can't think of an example of one, but I've seen them before. Like there was one, it was like I don't want to say the wrong thing because it would be like racist, but there was like one for like Asian comedians. It was like walkie joke. And then they had a picture of a wok and they had like chopsticks on the flyer. And I remember being like, ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe that was like a caricature, but I think it was for real. And it was like a theme.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. That's a lot of the times in comedy, especially like 15 years ago, things got lumped in together like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Was it a nice part of Florida?
I mean, Florida's okay. Even like the poor parts aren't bad. It was in a Marriott and then I had to walk across like kind of like a freeway. And then I hung out at Marshall's during the day.
Man.
That's where just like comedy is so lonely. That's the kind of shit I don't miss.
It's also
Walking
nice
across the freeway.
Across the freeway. It's
Yeah.
nice if you're or not dating, you're married to, that's where I think being with a comedian is nice because then he's gonna like understand exactly what you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's hard to describe to somebody else. Like no matter how supportive and how much they get it, it's hard to be like relay that you're doing that regularly. When they're like, well, what'd you do? And you're like, well, I was at Marshall's after I walked across the freeway and the show was really bad, but
yeah, and I made $200 on a full weekend, with take home. It's just bullshit.
I also think like it's such a weird job because you can have like 4 sets in a night. The first 3 could be great, the last one you can bomb, and then your whole night's ruined.
Have you guys been doing Zoom comedy shows at all?
Yeah, I just did one Friday.
I did 2. I did one that was like a new joke show that was Neil I put together, and then I did one that was a Zoom show where you were paid based on what they thought you deserved.
Oh no!
Which was like the Gong Show of comedy.
That's tough. That's tough.
I went first on it though, so I didn't have to sit through the whole show. But I only got like $35.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That you won, I did a couple of them, but I did one last night that was actually really, it was fun. And I felt the adrenaline from it, which I hadn't felt. And then all of a sudden I was like pacing around. And last night was the first time in this entire thing where I was like feeling that like a real like rush of that addicty thing of where I was like, okay, where do I go next? Like
what's the next?
I haven't, but I felt relief not having that because the first show I did in quotes, I think it was like 2 months into quarantine. I had a college and I never do colleges anymore, but this was booked like a long time ago. And they said I could still do it and they would pay me the same amount. So I was like, of course. And I did it. So I think like 6 kids showed up on the Zoom, and I had to do an hour for these
Oh
kids.
my God.
Tough.
That's
How
brutal.
did you
First
do
of all,
it?
Doing Zoom shows is like twice the amount of time.
It was, so I had my friend Justin open for me, and I'm so glad, because watching him do it, the students were all muted. So I saw him kind of after 10 minutes being like, I just know his act so well. So I knew that he was like, whoa. So then when I went on, I was like, can you guys unmute? And then I tried to like talk to the kids as much. And then when I hit an hour, I was like,
I'm out.
I'm out. I did like a 30-minute Q&A, which is tough with 6 people. It's tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not famous,
Like,
they don't really know what to ask you. They're just like, where did you get your hair cut? But
you just start running out of stuff to talk about. You're like, tell me about your mom's miscarriage.
yeah. We'll get really, really dark. I hammed it up though when I did it. Now I'm kind of remembering. I remember I was really trying to pretend like everything just happened.
Yeah.
I was laying that on thick. I was like, once we went into Corona, and this just happened. And then I would do a joke I've been doing for years. And I felt like, oh, if other comedians could see me right now, like I was glad it was just my friend Justin, because I was like overcompensating, I think, for the weirdness by just
Bringing it.
up. Yeah, for the first 15 minutes, then I died.
Oh yeah.
Q&A is smart though.
Yeah, that is smart. I always act like I'm just like on a panel talk show where I just try to set up my jokes as if it's a conversation. Like, oh my God, have you guys done this during quarantine? And then it's, as you said, like something that you were kind of doing beforehand.
For years.
Yeah.
Years.
How do you like being in Louisiana? What part are you in?
I'm in Slidell. Have you guys been in
Slidell? I drove through there 2 weeks ago.
What?
I drove from New York to Texas because my family lives in Houston.
Right.
So I've driven through there a few times. And then also I love Lucinda Williams, and she sings about a lot of stuff in Louisiana.
I never heard that name. Sounds kind of familiar.
She's been around for years. If you want to listen, if you drive around Louisiana, listen to Car Wheels on a Gravel Road, and it has every town that you're nearby in that area.
I found out who she was because they had a song of hers on The Affair, that show on Showtime.
Oh, I'm looking for new shows.
It's so good.
I like the name of it. I love a scandal, like a scandally. Slidell's nice. It's nice because it's very suburban. Actually, I'm kind of like acclimating a little bit. Like I'm like waving at neighbors, and the guy across the street, we like talk when we take out the trash. So I've been like, yeah, I like it. I went, this is a little embarrassing. It's weird though. I went not in the closet, but there was 2 times where I specifically hid that I had a girlfriend for no reason. And I was a little surprised about that. Like I took a boxing class, and it was social distance. We're all spread out. My girlfriend came to pick me up, and I was like, my friend's here. And they're like, okay. Like no one gives a shit. But I was like, my friend's here. So that's the only thing that's been weird about being here, that I felt self-conscious.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone cares, but I went out of my way to be like, I mean, they could have my aunt. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Do one of you have family down there? Does she have family down there?
She does. All her family. She's family, and she Airbnbs out a little house here. So she wanted to be here so she could do work on the house while yeah. So she's been like,
that makes sense. I heard a really weird statistic, and it kind of blew my mind. Did you know it percentage-wise, a lot of gays live in the South more than they live in the North?
I didn't know that.
Isn't that wild?
It is. That's surprising.
Like, you just feel like it's more tolerated up in the North than it is in the South. But it's like, I was just surprised to find out that, because I was listening to a Dolly Parton podcast, and she has a huge gay following, and that's where it came
It's
about.
interesting.
That is interesting, because I mean, also the cost of living here is amazing. Like,
it's so cheap.
That's what I was going to say. You get a lot more for your money there, so you might just deal with homophobia.
you go cry in your big house.
Well, yeah, it's not as bad if you have
your huge closet.
You have a pool.
It's like, I haven't I think it was me being prejudiced against the South too that I even thought anyone would care, because there's been no hint of anything, and I just am going out of my way thinking that they're thinking that they're.
I get that though.
You know,
it makes sense, especially if you grew up kind of hiding it. I don't know if you were out earlier as a kid or not. But
I was in the closet in Maine, but this was. I mean, I went. Actually, it was kind of funny when my girlfriend came to pick me up one of the times. They're like, "Emma, your ride's here," and I was like, "Oh, it's my friend." And they're like, "Okay." And then this giant man walked through the door, like this like jacked bodybuilder guy.
They thought that's who your friend was.
Like, and I was like, "Oh, he's not my friend." And then my girlfriend's like 5 foot, like she's like tiny little like woman. And then she walked in behind. I was like, "That's my friend." And then they're like, "Okay, like what's wrong with it?" And it's there's only like 6 people in the boxing class because we have to reserve, and they all could give 2 flying fucks about this inner narrative in my head where I'm like, just so everyone knows who my friend is. Oh,
yeah. Isn't that fascinating that sometimes we put these things in our head? I mean, I wouldn't doubt that you deal with, there's, prejudice down in the South, but it's probably more internalized in them. Like they do certain things that, you wouldn't know about.
Jim. I should have mentioned that too. There's like crosses everywhere. So that's part of it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. Then if people are super religious, sometimes you worry they will be
right.
closed-minded.
I can guarantee they don't care though. Like I'm sure they can tell I'm gay and could give 2 flying fuck. Like,
well, were you wearing your shirt that says "I eat pussy"?
No, I forgot it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really cares about any of that stuff.
Truly, I'm sure he is thinking about every other thing. He's probably just like, why is she talking about her friend so much? Like,
yeah,
you
should ask your friend out.
Yeah, he's like, it sounds like you kind of like your friend. I had a girl.
They're probably like, I'm glad that you weren't with that guy.
He was huge. He had to be some kind of security. He was like, looked like a bodybuilder, jacked guy.
Wow.
Jacked.
What do you think about comics going on the road?
So I have a show in July in Kansas City.
Same here.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I reached out to the guy and I go, because of the DL Hughley thing that happened this weekend.
No. Was that last night?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you guys doing? Are you making people wear masks? And he's like, we will be doing what Virginia tells us to do for phase 2. And I was like, can you be more specific? Like, just make people wear masks.
I think they're worried that if people are wearing masks, they're not going to buy drinks, and that's how they want to make money. So, like, at this point, though, it is risking people's lives, though. So, I was supposed to do a show in Kansas also, and then I had a 4-day run in July, and 2 of the places, one was in Kansas, wasn't going to be open. So, double check that.
Well, so I was supposed to do one in June, not in Kansas. I think it was in Missouri, and that place was open, the Blue Note Comedy Club, and I did that before. But so that one I did cancel because my stepmom works at a hospital. So I was like kind of running it by her, and they were like, I mean, and then the one in Kansas City, we're going to drive back to LA. So it's like perfectly on the way. So it like really lines up nicely. But I do feel last night because of the DL Hughley thing and then reading about cases going up. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I do now feel a little bit weird about it. I think the club's going to be social distancing and only 25% can get in, which is personally great because then you don't have all the pressure of being a huge draw.
Right? That's how I feel about it. I'm the perfect comic for this.
I'm kind of
I think we all are.
25%. I was like, okay, so if I can just fill another 10%, like then it'll look like I got that fucking 25%. Like,
yeah, some heat.
Get some heat. Yeah, I got sold out that 25%. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be on the wrong side of history of like exposing people.
I honestly think we won't really know until it's closer.
And if and it's also they're coming to you.
Yeah, I'm going to just put on my poster thing that I make for Instagram and all that, just like, please wear a mask and, proceed with caution,
right.
Don't be dumb about this.
You brought up the fact that some comics said he thinks that people, if they get sick, they might sue comics.
Are you serious?
I don't
That's
know if
what.
that's true, but that's
Well,
what someone told Sarah.
That's
They
what
go fuck themselves.
I know. That
Like
well, like
literally.
it should be the business at least get sued before we do.
I would think so. What are you going to take away from my, like, do you know what I mean? Like, good luck suing me.
Don't take away my government money though.
That would be such bullshit because they know the risk when they go out. Like it's very well broadcast. You know what I mean? It's not like,
But Trump made people sign a thing that they wouldn't sue him if they got sick from his Tulsa rally. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll make people do that at shows.
Did you see that TikTokers supposedly bought a bunch of the seats at his rally? For some reason, I thought that was, I don't know why. I thought that was like unnecessarily mean. Even though fuck him, 100%.
I know it hurts.
Like, hey, was that what it was? Because there was some part of me that, yeah, that's what, maybe I was taking it personally because I was like, whew. But it's like.
As a performer, yeah, you're like.
I guess that's what it was. Because I felt empathy for him in a way because I was like, oh yeah, he thought that's what it was. I was wondering why. But it just seemed like, I don't know, let them have their.
Like unnecessarily mean? Is that what you? I saw that too, yeah, where they bought up a bunch of. Also, like, whatever. It's so weird because I saw Joe tweeted something last night, Sarah's husband, and he said something like, Trump's doing comedy or something right now, and he's like, it's not even that bad.
No, it's probably better than anything I'll ever do on stage. I mean, did you watch it? It's actually
I didn't watch it.
really
it's great timing.
entertaining.
What was he talking about?
He's just doing act outs, talking about how he was when he was walking down that ramp, and it was kind of.
I remember that. Yeah, I saw something about that, like a clip.
And then everyone's like, like it's very like if you watch wrestling, he's very like trying to rile up the audience where they're like this boo, like anything he says, like he's like that's right.
It's hilarious if that's who our president is.
It's insanity.
Yeah. He's like Jerry Springer.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
Totally.
It'll be interesting though if him and Biden have to debate each other because Biden is senile. Like I mean that's who you have to vote for because he's the better choice. But he's like senile.
I click right through it. His ads give me. I can't process it.
When I see him speak, it makes I get douche chill, or what's that phantom feeling that you get where you're like, it's like watching a train wreck where you're like, I can't. It's too much.
Well, you're just waiting for him to do something awful, or like forget a word and say the wrong word, or like it gives me anxiety watching him also. So you're
Did you guys vote in the primary?
No, I'm really bad about that.
Neither. I don't either.
But New York is definitely going to be Democratic anyway, so I don't think it matters. I don't think you have to vote if you're in New York. And I know people will probably get mad, but
you should register in Louisiana.
I know. Well, while I was down here, because my girlfriend rents her house out so much, I was like, maybe I'll go. Maybe I should try to do that and whenever I'm in another state, I'll like fantasize about what if I just like live here and.
Same. Yeah.
I always think I want to get a food truck.
Me too. I just had that while we were in quarantine. I was like, maybe I'll start selling snow cones because that was my job in high school.
Yeah, they're all over the place. But you know what? One time I was at a New York Comedy Club and I was about to go, I was going on stage or getting off and I saw Todd Barry and one of us was like, man, I'm over this. And he said something about a food truck too. And I was like, I want to get a food truck. And then he was like, why do comics always want to get food trucks? Like I'm totally paraphrasing. He was like, why do we think we could do that? Like you have to have a business, you have to like do a bunch of steps to do that. But yeah, I'll fantasize.
It's kind of like comedy. Comedy's super hard too. I think if you could figure out doing stand-up, you could figure out a food truck.
What would you do with the inventory if you didn't sell the inventory? You got a bunch of like gyros or I guess snow cones, you just have a bunch of ice.
Yeah. That was my job for a few months after I graduated high school. And when we were talking about the happiest time of your life, I would think that would be the moment. I looked into it. You don't have to buy a food truck. You can lease one. You're not responsible. And then I think I was going to serve alcohol in mine.
That's a good idea.
You should have alcoholic snow cones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like margaritas.
Would that be frustrating for you? Like, would that be bad to be around it? Like having to pour the booze?
I was sober. When I first got sober, I was bartending in Midtown and I did that job for years and it was never an issue.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I also think like the world's ending and if you're an alcoholic and you want to drink, just do it.
Go for it.
I'm not giving out a lot of good advice.
Because the world probably wouldn't end then, and then you're just like fucking drunk, like
But
sitting
you're
outside
like,
the
you're like,
house.
I had the time of my life now.
The turmoil. Oh my God. If I was drinking now, the amount of like desperation and turmoil, I'm so glad I'm not drinking in this, because I would just be drinking. I think I would have killed myself. I feel for someone if they're struggling with addiction stuff in the midst of this. I would have shot myself. Day 2.
Oh yeah, I think I'd
Hands
start
down.
chain smoking, and then my coffee table would just be full of beer cans every day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
I feel for that, like, for sure. But
And I would be getting people sick, 'cause I know, like, I'd run out of beer at 2 a.m, and I'm like, I think I know a place that has, and then I'm just going without my mask. I don't know. I just feel like I would.
And everyone's yelling at you. They're like,
Yeah.
put on your mask. You're like, what are they talking about? That's gotta be funny. Like,
it's a good idea though.
What were you gonna say, Adrian?
I don't know. I'm just saying it's got to be funny, like for the beginning of the quarantine where people started wearing masks and you get drunk and you leave without it and you don't really remember what they even are and people are screaming at you. You're like, put on my mask. What are they talking about?
You wouldn't wear a mask when you're on stage, right?
Mm-mm.
No, okay.
No.
I just feel like people would not be able to really hear.
Yeah. Like, actually, I'm supposed to do a guest spot because I'm driving from Louisiana to Boston, see my mom. Then we're gonna go back to LA and just stay there because my girlfriend rented her house out. But I was gonna do a guest spot in Huntsville. So Wednesday's the first night I was gonna do like a little bit of stand up.
Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's really nice. The rooms, do not mention about Roll Tide, because that crowd will just
What's Roll Tide? I don't even know what that is.
It's their college, Crimson Tide, their football team or whatever.
Oh, Crimson Tide. Isn't Roll Tide like something like it's like Roll Tide, like some kind of...
it's a call or something weird like that. Like, do not mention any of that, because then you'll derail your show into like football cheers.
Really? Did you do that?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
Oh, no, I didn't. But one of the comics beforehand, like, our Joe mentioned something about sports, and it started something, and then it just got. They were really nice, but you definitely can't do anti-Trump stuff or even go in that realm, or pro-choice things. Like, they get very sensitive about stuff like that.
It's so weird that the right is mostly not politically correct, but you cannot make fun of Trump and you cannot make fun of abortions.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Those are the two things. Everything else is fine.
You guys have done Vegas. Did you find that in Vegas?
Vegas, you mean the Cellar Vegas?
Yeah.
It's weird. Some of the shows I would do great, and then some of the shows I would just be like, why am I doing stand-up? And I'm like,
totally my experience. Totally my experience too. But there was this one, the host there, Mark, he would have a joke where he would reference The Wall, and he's literally referencing The Wall at the comedy club, where he'd be like, he'd say, oh, they're, keeping out people from Brad Garrett's, another club in Vegas. But sometimes it happened more than twice where he would just say The Wall and people go, oh, like thinking he was going to make fun of something with Trump. And I thought that was so
it's weird.
Just at the phrase The Wall.
Are they still building the wall? Did they ever start? I have no idea what's going on.
I think they started, and then it's just kind of like
a half wall where people they could just sit on it and take a break while they're going over the border. That's a nice place to rest.
You just got to walk around it. Like, you get to it and you can see like an opening at the other side.
I feel like it's probably only 2 feet high.
I never legitimately thought that he was going to go through with that plan. I thought it was just a tactic for campaigning.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to build it either, but I think he actually started. I have no idea. I really don't follow anything that's going on.
How do you guys think New York is going to get out of it?
We're not. Get out of what? Quarantine?
Our numbers are still pretty good, though.
They're going to go back up.
And they're opening phase 2, but I wonder if we're going to start doing morning commutes. That's got to be, and then also during the fall and winter, during flu season, if that'll go up more.
I know.
I mean, if the numbers have gone up in Florida so much, where they said they had like a record number, 4,000 cases, it's definitely going to go back up. Like, it's not gone.
It's going to go up in Alabama too. I mean, I know it already has, but I went there, I think it was like maybe 3 weeks ago. I went just because there's beaches in Alabama. Did you know about that?
No, I know nothing about Alabama.
Yeah, I never hear anyone going, we're going. I know people that live there go to the beach, but it's not a
like
destination.
It's like they've got like white sand beaches, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It was really pretty. It was really nice, but it was packed. And then there was a pool, and the pool was so packed, I felt like people were in the pool to prove a point. Because it was like uncomfortably packed. Like,
Yeah,
unnecessarily. Unnecessarily packed.
Yeah.
I was walking by, and I had a dog, so people were like coming up to pet the dog, and I was like, But I was like, ooh, something's gonna pop off here.
Oh, yeah, I know when I was in Houston, they were doing shows in enclosed places. And
Really?
one of the bars in the town that I grew up in, they didn't want you to come in with a mask because they didn't like the look of it. Yeah, it's really weird. But then it's Harris County, which had a huge spike, I think, last week. I don't know what their numbers are like this week, but I don't know.
The problem is, like,
I don't think they care.
If New York goes back up, it goes up so much because there's so many people here. Like, our numbers were so much higher than anywhere else in the country.
Right.
I don't know. It's like,
yeah. I don't know what the clubs are going to do. That's what I'm wondering.
Well, they're not going to be, you mean the clubs in New York?
Yeah.
I guess they'll open it if we ever get to stage 4 of reopening, but like, I don't know. I guess they'd have to make people wear masks. It's such confined areas.
Would you guys go, like, would you spend time back in Texas? If say New York doesn't open in the fall or something and Texas is open, would you go back there so you could be doing stage time there?
I'd go visit. When I go, I'm hanging out with my mom, so I'm always trying to be respectful for her.
Yeah.
I don't like to contaminate her. Yeah.
Disease. Yeah, that's fair.
But if it wasn't, I think I would for sure. I mean, why not? The rent's cheaper. I can go to a pool and it's more outdoorsy, and then I can work on stage time.
You could probably live with your sister.
That's true.
I was thinking about that but my sister's in Boston, but I don't know. I'm going to see how it is when I'm in Boston next week, I guess. I want to interview my mom. I've never done that before. And I was like, Mom, can I interview you just to have it for myself? And she was like, well, I need to see the questions first.
I'm on her side.
Really? But it's my mom. I'm not even going to I just wanted to have it for myself. Like, I wanted to have, I mean, honestly, ideally, I'd maybe do something with it, but I just wanted, so now last night I was trying to like write out what I would ask her.
I guess, I don't know, if somebody said, if I asked someone if I could interview them and they were like, I want to see the questions first, I'd be like, that's fair.
It is fair, but it's my
just
mom.
Because I know, but especially my mom would be like, you know, all this awful stuff about me. Do you know what I found? I was looking through stuff. I was finally cleaning out a closet. And you know, quarantine, you're like, I'm going to go clean out my closet. Right. I actually did it. And I found a notepad where I'd written to my mother. I was 7 years old, and I said, you hurt my feelings. I'm really hurt by you. And then on the next page, it said, I feel so alone. I'm all alone. And I was like, holy fuck, it's 7 years old. I'm like, why would you save this?
Wow.
Why would you let me see what what I was dealing with as a kid? I thought I had a great childhood, and I guess I did not.
Well, you were good at articulating your feelings.
Yeah, I don't think I had that ability back then.
Likewise. I spelled feelings like filling, though.
Oh, wow.
Same kind of thing, though.
Yeah, you were in the right, because I remember writing about being like angry and I remember writing I hated my stepmom, which is pretty cliche, but I remember being like, I hate her, and then she found it and read it. Stupid bitch. My old stepmom. Not my stepmom now. I
think if you're a stepmom, though, you have to accept that that's part of the job. Like, you're going to be hated.
Right. You can't be shocked. But I remember writing that. But I mean, it is interesting to look at, like, what you tapped into. I mean, 7 is to say you're lonely.
It's weird. It's so weird to be like, you hurt my feelings. I'm very upset, or something like that. And then the next thing was like, I'm so alone. And I was like, wow, at 7 years old, what kind of clarity?
Right.
That's insane. If I was my mother, I would have never even saved that. I would be like,
your mom saved that?
So she saved it because she wrote on it the year, and she wrote 7 years old. And I think it was like 84 or something, or 85, 6. Yeah, and it was like in with all my stuff. And I was like, what a weird thing to save.
That is kind of strange to
It's just
doctors.
proof. It's like proof of like not being a great parent.
Yeah. I wonder what she did to hurt your feelings.
I know.
Who knows? I remember as a kid, I mean, I think I fight so meanly because of my family. That's how they also used to fight. I just remember being a kid and telling her to drop dead, and she was like, you drop dead first. And I wasn't expecting that as a child. I was like, that's a really good comeback. I didn't even expect it.
You're like, you're not supposed to say that. I could call
Right.
CPS on you.
Right. You could be like, because she's just supposed to send you to her room.
Or like, yeah, but she just escalated it very quickly.
Like, I'm going to choke the shit out of you. And you're like, okay.
Like, I can't wait for you to die.
I never want to have you. Fuck.
Emma, what are some questions that you want to ask your mom?
I don't know. What I would like to get at is I'd be curious. So there's like a time frame in her life that I would like to piece together, because in high school, college, she went to Berkeley in the 60s, and I know she smoked a lot of pot. Like I know about that. But after college, this is where the timeline is confusing. She traveled around Russia on a train, and then something, she owned a fish shop in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I'm trying to figure out what happened. And I've asked her about it before, but I feel like if we're doing an interview, then I can like be more like, wait, what? Because I've asked like, so why'd you want to get a fish shop? And she's like, well, I had this really good clam chowder and something, but it doesn't really like link together. Not that it has to, but basically I want to be like, how much pot were you smoking? And was that why? Is that the thread for your whole 20s? And then she moved to Maine after she had the fish shop. So I'm just curious, like, what the fuck was going on?
Yeah. It's always amazing when people have ideas that they follow through with it. Because I have so many ideas and I never follow through with it. So even being like, I have amazing clam chowder, it would never occur to me to be like, I'm going to open up a
fish shop. And she would go get the fish at the pier, and then like, I don't know what you do, shuck it. Like you got to get the bones out.
Yeah.
Make the chowder, and she would sell the chowder. And I remember her friend took the chowder recipe and sent it into some publication. Actually, I remember as a kid being like, well, fuck, like your friend's a bitch. Like I remember being angry for her. And she was like, I remember her saying, well, you can't own the recipe. She modified it a little bit. And I was like, but she got it. I think it was like published in the Times. It's some big magazine.
That's a big deal, stealing recipes. Like,
I know.
You hear that as a jab from older ladies.
Right. And she took credit for it.
Emma, is your dad in your life?
He is. I'm close with my dad.
Oh, okay. Because I never really heard you speak about him.
I don't have. It's funny you say that, because I was trying to start talking about him more. He is a funny person. Like he himself is funny, but he's not a character. He's a math professor at a college, and if he has a good sense of humor. He likes watching comedy. He's a funny guy, but he's not like, I don't know how to say this without sounding mean to my mom. He's not odd.
Yeah, like I know what you mean. Colorful.
He's not as like text, like she's funny. I don't know why now I'm whispering. She's funny, but it's like, she's like quirky. Like you're like, oh my God, I can't believe she just said. Like even this morning, I sent her some free vitamins because I had a code for it. And she was like, I have to go take my vitamins, and you know, I can't switch vitamins. I'll finish taking them. And I was like, you don't have to switch your vitamin regime. This is just to have if you wanted them. She's like, no, I'll finish the vitamins, but after that, I have to go back to my daily multivitamin. And I was like, it's really no big deal. And she's like, I'm going to commit to it. I'll finish it, but I do need more collagen powder. If you can get me some more of that, and I'll take another thing of. And I was like, I can't give you. She's like making requests now. But my dad.
What is collagen powder? I don't even know what that is.
Powder that she doesn't like the flavor of it at all the places she's bought it, but she likes the pineapple flavor, the sample of the place, and she wants more. And blah, 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 blah. But
well, I actually think moms are batshit crazy.
You think?
A lot of them, and it's not because it's not like clinically batshit crazy, but they're weird. They're really funny people.
Yeah, I mean, she's funny. She's a funny person. My dad's got a sense of humor. I wouldn't even know what to talk about with my dad. Like, first of all, he's a man of few words. He's a math professor, so he's pretty serious.
Yeah.
The only thing about him I ever thought was like peculiar was the way that he texts. is totally different from how he talks.
Yeah.
So he's very animated. He'll do lots of exclamation points, but then in person he's pretty like measured. Like one time he texted me, he was talking about some politician and he said, "Oh, my ass," and he spelled a money sign.
That's where he shines.
That's
That's where his
hilarious.
personality. He's probably just like an
Sure.
introvert. My dad was kind of like that, or not. My dad's not an introvert, but like he would use emojis a lot, and you would be like, I would never think of you as an emoji guy or figuring out how to do animated GIFs. Like, what
Totally.
is that?
Maybe they're
That's the
just trying to
same thing.
relate.
Yeah.
Maybe, but in person he's never, like on the phone we'll have pretty short conversations, and then in text he'll be more like much more talkative in text, which is interesting. But we are close. I actually grew up with my dad, and then my sister grew up with my mom.
Weird. Why did that happen?
They had a really bad divorce, and then they got joint custody, and then we were going back and forth between the two. But my sister, when she wanted to just live with my mom, then I felt bad. So then and it was also a lot of moving around. So then I just lived with my dad. So we were always like close, and now we're definitely, and my dad's really good with like boundaries. Like if I do something with my mom, and I love my mom so much, but I'll think about her. Like I'll be like, oh, I hope my mom's okay. Like, you know, I feel like I'm sure I don't need to, but I feel like I need to like watch her. With my dad,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
He's fine.
He's fine. He'll figure it out. My mom.
Now, is he married now? Because you said that the stepmom he's not with anymore, right?
He is, and my stepmom now is awesome. And I was waiting for years for the other shoe to drop, because the stepmom I wrote that I hated was this woman, and they had an affair. And actually now she's like identifies as a lesbian and lives in Ohio, but Carol, that was her name. And then I had this other stepmom who sucked, and now my stepmom now is like, she's so nice.
Wait, how many stepmoms have you had?
Usually they wouldn't get married, but they would get engaged, and then I would call them. Like my stepmom now, when I first met her, I used her car for some reason, and I got pulled over, and the cop was like, whose car is this? And I was like, it's my stepmom's. And he goes, what's her name? And I was like, ooh. Funny story. I've had a lot of stepmoms. I was like, I don't know her full name. And he was like, but it's her car. And I was like, I know that sounds crazy, but my dad and her just started being together. And so I just automatically started calling her my stepmom. And then he ran the license, and he's like, Ellie Quartermage. And I was like, yeah, man, that's it. That's
That's hilarious.
So I think they've had,
I don't know her name.
I was like, ah.
I like how you didn't even lie, and you're just like, funny story.
Yeah, here's the deal. So it's a little complicated, but she's cool. She's so cool. My mom's like, she's awesome. I can't believe she's with your father. She's so cool. She looks so cool. She's a really like.
She looks so cool.
She's a businesswoman. She's a businesswoman. So she gets, she wears her business outfits, and my mom thinks that's cool. Like she just is very impressed by her.
Yeah.
Your mom sounds like a character like you.
She's such a character. Wait, has my mom, I'm trying to think if you were there one of the nights my mom came with me to the stand. I think I ran into you right after she left, but she was like, I brought her to one show and I thought she would go home, and I got her a couple drinks at it to like loosen it up. So then after the show, which by the way, she heckled Christian. I don't know if he knew this, but she started really talking when Christian Finnegan was on stage. She was like, I can't hear him. And I had
very
to
soft.
And then
That's hilarious.
The security guy was turning, and I was like, I'm sorry. And then my girlfriend like kind of got my mom out of there. But then she came with me to the stand, and I was like, I thought she was going to go home. And she was like, this is interesting. And then, the upstairs at the stand where you can see through it?
Yeah, the old stand?
No, the new one.
Oh, the new one, okay.
There's a restaurant. So she put her face up to the window and cupped it and was looking in. And I was like, stop it. I was like, the comedian can see you. And she looked and she goes, this crowd doesn't look happy. What are you going to do?
They never do in that room.
No, it's like they're being held captive in that room.
I do miss that. Like I always liked that room though, because I felt like
Who
I don't
cares?
know.
It was a low
Right.
threshold. So you're just like, I'm going to just have fun in here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she came into that one, but she was like, at that point, she was totally like tipsy, and someone gave me some cash. And when we left, she goes, "Why they give you that cash?" Like she thought it was some. I was like, "Well, it was because for the spot." And like, why else would they be slipping me
Yeah.
money?
You're like, I sold her pot.
Yeah. Like, what do you think?
That's so funny that she's like, why are they giving you cash?
Why are they? She's like, "I'm not trying to pry. You're an adult, but why they slip you that money? I saw.
So is your mom remarried or dating anyone?
She's got a boyfriend, Nick. He's really nice. She doesn't say he's her boyfriend though, because she's like, I'm 60, so, or I'm sorry, she's 70. She's like, I'm 70, so it's weird to say boyfriend. So she says her friend.
Oh,
But
I
he's
think
her
it's
boyfriend.
cute.
Maybe that's where you get that
Yeah.
from her.
Maybe.
You also refer to your girlfriend as your friend too.
Maybe she's uncomfortable with the term, but he's so nice. He used to work at a museum for children's books, so he's like a nice guy.
Adorable.
So sweet, and he's really good with her.
Yeah. So you don't even know how many stepmoms you've gone through?
Okay, wait, I can think of it. Okay.
Would you say 8?
Carol? No. Well, wait. Okay, wait. Carol. 3. There's 3. But the
Okay.
reason I was confused with the name was, this is on me, not my dad. Anytime he would get a girlfriend, I'd be like, it's my stepmom. So I was just whipping it out.
Yeah.
Even if, you know what I'm saying? I was just like the placeholder.
It's just easier
Easy.
than to remember a name.
Yeah, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, are you my new stepmom? My dad's just probably like,
Oh my God.
I think your dad said ass and put $2 signs. It makes me think your dad might have a wild side.
I was wondering, because I was like, where did he learn how to do that? Like, who is he talking to that did that to teach him? Because all I know about his life is teaches math. He used to be a carpenter. He built his house.
That's cool.
Very cool. Very cool. He went to Colby College. He's a liberal, and he likes watching TV at night. So I don't know where he's picking up the A money sign.
Do you think from his students?
I don't think so, because it's a maritime school. So they're like,
Oh,
maritime academy. What is that? Navy? I don't know what they do.
yeah, I think so. It's with marine life.
stuff.
I mean, maybe he's just like looking on, Reddit and stuff to see how he could be hip.
Maybe.
Where else? I'm surprised you didn't ask him where he got it from.
I just wrote LOL, but he does stuff like that besides, and he wrote my ass. And I remember being at a restaurant looking at my phone and I was like, what? And then he's done other things. He'll say like for sure, but he doesn't say faux show, but he'll be like, for the way he says it, I'm like, who the hell are you talking to? But
No, it's weird because Joe's dad's like that. He's very quiet and reserved, and then you'll see a comment on your Instagram and you're like, I would never expect you to leave this.
He comments on your Instagram?
Yeah, I didn't know him for a while because his username was something, it wasn't like Steve List. It was just a pseudonym with a number behind it.
My
So
dad.
you're like, who is this?
My dad's Jay Willman, and he'll go on and comment sometimes.
Yeah.
Like he'll write little jokes. Like one time he was writing "You're in trouble" on my Instagrams, and I was like, all right.
Parents ruin your social media brand.
My mom would ask where I was. She'd be like, where is this? Where are you? But my dad will make little jokes and stuff. I would like to talk about him. I just got to figure something out. He's got to do something.
Yeah. Well, your mom, I understand that it sounds like your mom is more colorful if she's having inner turmoil with her multivitamins.
There's a lot of inner turmoil. I mean, now her job, she's retired now, but she has a Swedish weaving business in Guatemala.
What? Your mom's all over the place.
Yeah, what is that? What's a Swedish business in Guatemala?
She does weaving, which is where you have a loom and then you weave.
That's cool.
And she does Swedish patterns. But one time she was in Guatemala and she liked the Guatemalan patterns. So she teaches them Swedish weaving. They teach her Guatemalan weaving. And then she takes since she's retired, she'll take their weavings and sell it at stuff. And then she sends them the profit.
Oh, nice.
That's actually very nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. And then she sponsors 2 children there. And she goes there a lot. I think that's where she's really happy, actually. She always loves going to Guatemala.
Now, do you think she likes those kids a little more than you and your sister?
I seriously wonder. Because she's mentioned, she's like, they're so grateful for everything.
That makes sense. But
That's
she's
a
like,
dig.
you guys don't appreciate anything.
Yeah, seriously. And then she like stays at their house. Like she'll like sleep on their, they sleep on the floor and stuff. And she'll do that. And she's in her
That's a happy
70s,
place.
73.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound like a lot like your mom. Like your mom's just like a
A
very
little.
colorful person. Like
Yeah.
the fact that she like had a fish store making chowder and now she's staying in Guatemala doing,
See, I agree, but she always is like, where do you come from? Like, she thinks her and I are so different. I'm like, it's not. And since she doesn't like the comedy, I'm like, it's not, yes, stand up, but you think of the job, like you're a Swedish weaver in Guatemala. It's not
Yeah.
like,
that's so crazy. Like if you said to me, guess the 3 jobs that my mom has, that would be the last one I picked. Even if you said like selling drugs, I'd still say that was the last.
there's 100% no way to guess what those jobs. It's very, I mean, she had a yarn shop in Maine for a little bit. She's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you get it from.
Yeah.
She's like a little bit here, a little bit there, doing a fish shop, got married, moved to Russia for a little bit. I don't know. I feel like every time I talk to you, what?
She was single in Russia.
Okay.
But
What-
that's why I got to get the timeline a little like figured out.
Yeah. I want to know what she was doing in Russia. Most people
Okay.
come from Russia to America.
And your mom was like, let's do the reverse.
She was on a train too.
All of this sounds so bizarre.
I'm just curious if she was really high or like what was going on, because I know she used to smoke pot, but I mean I don't know how high you could be to do that.
To go to Russia.
She sounds fun though.
She is, and she's very sweet. Like she's very, very, unwaveringly like for people's rights.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like she's like
A lot
that's big.
of people struggle with their parents because their parents are not very open and liberal.
She's
So
very
that's awesome.
open. One of her best friends is trans. It's a male to female. And so I knew that when I was little, and she was like, that's how it is. She was born a man and she's a woman. So that's how it is. And I was like, okay, all right.
Got it. Yeah.
Got it.
Wow, and that's a long time ago too.
I remember when I came back from college, I was like, just because she had the surgery, so now she has a vagina, even if she had a penis, because I had just learned this in college at the time, if she had a penis, she'd still be a woman. And my mom was like, I don't get it. So she tapped out
At the genitals.
Yeah, she was like, no, she had the surgery. She's a woman. I was like, well, that actually is, I learned in my class, that's like something else. And this is that. And she was like,
You lost me. Emma.
yeah. I don't think so.
All right. I'm going to go make my chowder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. All right. So we're about to wrap up. Are you doing any shows or so you're going to be in Huntsville, Alabama doing a guest spot soon. Who are you guest spotting for?
I don't know. I need to look that up. I haven't even gone to the website yet.
Yeah.
I need to go check that out. And then I'm going to be in Kansas City, July 16th, 17th, and 18th. And then Wise Guys on July 23rd. And then that's it. I got nothing in my calendar until next January.
And are you still doing your podcast with Mateo?
Yes.
Inside
the closet. Yep. Inside the closet.
So check out Emma on that.
Yes.
And don't you have a new podcast also?
Yeah,
Another
Emma's
one?
Buffer. I've just been doing that while we're in Corona, but I got locked out of my fucking Instagram because I forgot my passcode.
Oh, what is it? Does it tell you to take a photo with?
Yes, and I've done that 6 times.
I've had the same issue.
Did you get in?
Does it ask for? It says it'll text you this number.
Yes.
Okay, give it your girlfriend's number and see if it gives you the code, and then do it there. Because I had that happen, and we texted it. We told Instagram to text the code to my friend. It texted it to her, and then I used that code, and I got into my Instagram that way.
So why wouldn't they send it to you?
Yeah, why wouldn't they send it to me?
I have no idea. It was so weird. It was because it would be like, is this your number? I said yes, or something like that. And then it would be like, we're going to text you a code. And it never gave me an SMS code, even though it had my number. So then I changed my number to my coworker or friend's number. And then it texted it to her. And then I got that code. And then I put it in from my phone. And it worked. Because I've been locked
I'll
out of my
try
account
anything.
several times and it makes no sense.
It's been a week now where it's my fault. I forgot.
I know. Well, it happens because we
Yeah,
have
I've
to
done
keep
that
up with
too.
so many codes.
Right. So
But
One time I had an ex-boyfriend who knew my code and he went into my email and I was like, I got to change my password. And then I forgot my password. And I was like, hey, can you go break into my account? Because he like knew how to do stuff like that. So it's so weird because I was like, changed it and 5 minutes later forgot the stupid password.
that's kind of what I did. I changed it and then I had the face verification. I logged out and then I couldn't get in. And then I was like, fuck me.
yeah.
So, but any day now,
Yeah.
I'll be back in.
Guys, go follow Emma.
Yeah,
Should they
thank
follow
you.
you on Instagram or Twitter or both?
Instagram was it, but
Okay.
You'll be back.
but I'll be back. I'll be back.
Is it Emma Willman?
Emma
Is that
Willman,
your
yep.
handle? Okay.
That's it.
Check out her podcast. Go see her when she's in town if we ever get out of quarantine.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for doing this. It was great seeing you.
Yeah, great to see you too. I'm going to lunch with my girlfriend's dad. Actually.